buy.com. So she was worth millions of dollars on paper. And so Kevin was like, let's do this Bronco. This is going to be awesome. And he had some stocks. And then all of a sudden, everyone dumped that stock, and that stock turned to nothing. So being $1 million on paper to going away quickly was like, he still wanted to build his Bronco, but it just turned into this big project. Like, you know, a $40,000, $50,000 bill turned into a $200,000 bill, turned back into, well, what could we do to tone this project down? And for us, it was like, look, like, we're so busy lifting Rangers and building Toyota suspension. Do you want to continue on the Bronco or not? If you don't want to do it, that's fine. We'll give you back X amount of dollars and buy you out of the project so we don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And you could just sell the project. And that's what happened. So it was good for him, good for us. We're still friends to this day. We always laugh about the Bronco. He actually wound up buying another Bronco years later that we did a more mild build on. But it's pretty funny, though. So bottom line was, we had this Bronco 6 months. The shop was 1,480 square feet. So in the units there's the 1,480 and the 1,860. Those are the size of each shop.
Yeah.
So we had one little unit. And it's funny because some of our very first customers we're still friends with. One of them, Cameron Brewer, runs all the Roland Sands shop and stuff. Like, he's a very talented guy. We always joke about it. He actually, if you look at my Instagram, he texted me a picture back from 1998 with our brand new 4-wheel drive F-150 towing our brand new Dyko Mighty Mover trailer, sitting at the Laughlin race, score race way back in like 98, doing contingency for our company.
How fun.
But yeah, one shop with the 6-month lease turned into 2 units, turned into the 3rd unit. So just kept knocking down the walls between units, then had the 4th unit. Within 10 years, we moved out of there, and now we're into the building we're in now. One way bigger building. And then we actually just got one more unit back where we used to be. We got that about 4 or 5 years ago, storage, but it was one of the bigger units. And that's now all of our CNC machines. So 6 CNC machines are going into this one unit, just to get them off the floor here. So now we have, you know, kinetic machine by Camburg, basically. So it's just always had growth, and it's always been good. But we've always provided what's tomorrow. We didn't provide what's today.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like, you know, new suspension kit. There's always a new model. There's only a few older things like the Toyotas and the I-Beam Rangers that we used to do. That stuff's just gone so far away that we don't make product for those anymore unless it's really, really custom high end. And that stuff's always been about the same volume. But all the new stuff, it's, you know, with the partners like Fox and Rigid, Method Wheels, and the General Tires, all these companies that we sell their product, they're providing the way to lift the vehicle, and we're providing some of the components to strengthen the vehicle. And then we do the full build outs. And, you know, we partnered with Toyota. We've partnered with the U.S. snowboard team with Toyota and Burton, building vehicles for them. We've partnered with Jesse James over the years on multiple vehicles. He's got another vehicle we partnered up with him on that's going to SEMA with Linex this year, using basically our whole trophy truck build underneath this truck. It's an older 50s vehicle. A bunch of other companies. So, you know, we're always teamed up with like all the high-end companies, Scosche, MagnaFlow, Fox, General Tire, which is, you know, Continental General, or basically the same big company. A lot of really good brands we're working with. Going to Sandsport show this weekend. You know, they'll have Method Race Wheels. They'll have a race truck. Mother's Car Care Products will have 3 of our overland vehicles. And so now as we're getting bigger and our kids are getting into it, and we have plenty of employees, we're just able to do so much. And we're not just single dimension. We're like everything off-road except big, dumb lifted stuff. You know, like we're all about performance and about camping to racing.
What I like what you've done over the years, Jerry, and you said this, you were doing it since early on, is you're incorporating your partnerships, the people that you meet along the way. I mean, you just rattled off a dozen different people and brands that you're working with, not only providing value for them from a marketing perspective, from a business perspective, but yet you're creating business for yourself too. So, you know, going back to creating that path, right? Finding that path. Not only have you found it for yourself, but you found it for your partners And like you said, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and a lot of this, back to it, it starts in your childhood. I remember 8th grade at Dwyer Middle School being on the surf team, and I'm looking at the kid next to me going, okay, that kid's sponsored and that kid's sponsored. I don't have a sponsor. So I open up the surf magazine and, I start calling companies. I call Track Top, and they're like, yeah, you go to Dwyer, you're in 8th grade. Awesome. Yeah, let me send you out a care package.
Mm-hmm.
Put the sticker on your board. And then one of my first clothing sponsors was Hot Buttered, a company out of Australia. And my mom was like, she couldn't believe it. Like 2 big boxes of clothing show up, sweats and sweatshirts and T-shirts and trunks from an Australian company, right? They're giving you free clothes just because you surf?
Yeah.
It was like, this is 1986, 1987. And, it's a culture, right? So learning that, companies are marketing their products, and no matter how cool a company is, you need other cool kids on your team.
Yeah.
So Fox is really cool, but Fox wouldn't be Fox if they weren't sponsoring the other cool kids.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, look, I live by the philosophy too. It never hurts to ask, right? And oftentimes,
100%.
When you ask, like this Australian clothing company has sponsored you, sent some clothes over because you asked. I remember when I first started riding dirt bikes way back when FMF sent me a care package. I thought, well, they'd never send me anything, but yet you ask and they send something over, you build a compelling case. And I think a lot of people overlook that opportunity of just asking to see if there's a partnership there.
100%. I mean, I think that's most entrepreneurs, they're not afraid to start their business, but I bet you if you really dig deep, there's fear in every single entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. What if I fail? It's going to be a lot of work. I'm not going to make enough money. What if this doesn't work? And what I tell people is don't overly invest with your cash in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Overly invest with your time. You could always get by, and I look at Eric Morley's son, Duran, you know him. Mm-hmm. He's starting this van conversion business, mm-hmm. very conservatively, but he's putting in 20-hour days because he's passionate. He's putting in the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to have every fancy tool. You don't have to go to the bank and take out a loan for $100,000 and get a bunch of brand new tools. And it's funny you brought up FMF because Little D, we call him Lil D.
Yeah.
Donnie Jr. lives literally right across the street from me, and we're really good friends.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, awesome. And so literally his dad's not going out buying brand new equipment all the time. Mm-hmm. His dad's going to auctions. His dad's making his own tools, super conservative, kind of a mad scientist. He's the guy still back there designing pipes and exhaust and tuning on the dyno. But you go to FMF, you don't see Big D behind the desk with the suit and tie on.
Yeah.
You see Big D out on the dyno room designing something, right? He's kind of like the Jason at Camburg here. And they're not out buying brand new equipment all the time. They're making their own equipment to make their own titanium tubing. They're not just going out and buying the tubing, right? So they're doing a lot to have a lot of control of the quality of their product, have an upper hand on the design, and that's why FMF's FMF. And same thing when you start a business, like I said, you don't have to go to the bank and take out a huge loan. You don't have to take all of your capital and go buy everything brand new. You need tools, and certain tools you do want to buy brand new, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
You could always get by. Might be a little more work, a little more effort, but when you have capital and you have time, that's more of a recipe for success. And then over time, when you have extra money, our government gives businesses a tax break. And that's where when you reinvest your profits back into your business in terms of equipment, you get the write-off.
Yeah.
So take advantage of buying those tools at that time.
I love that this is where the conversation's gone because, first of all, and we talk about it a lot on this show, is hard work. The most important thing. And I think it's often forgotten in this day and age that somebody's got to put in the time. Everybody expects it to happen right now, but somebody has to put in the time and the hours. And I love that you brought up Duran because, man, he really is putting in a lot of hours over there. But it's one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you, is because, most people see you at the race, and I know that that's an opportunity for you to you're conducting business, I realize that, but it's also an opportunity for you to enjoy yourself a bit, and people see you in that environment. And I've gotten to know the Jerry that's grinding it out, from morning till night, and has been doing this for so long. How many years have you been in business over at Camburg now?
Yeah, so Camburg started in 1997.
Yeah.
So, 22, 23 years. And like I said, it's all about, and it's funny because it kind of sidetracking here, right? But I always get man, you're so good at social media. How do you do it? Well, it's just staying on top of technology, right? So, I have multiple Instagrams and multiple Facebooks, but mainly there's a lot of Instagram pages from back to it. Hey, like with the Porsche stuff, the sports car stuff. So one of my pages is Supercar Jerry. It's 210,000 followers, and it's just regurgitating cool videos, cool pictures, people tagging me in pictures, and I repost them. Another page is Jeeps Only. It's 462,000 followers. But when you have these kind of followers, it's easy to get like a deal on the car and free parts or a deal on the parts or whatever it is. But same thing as, you go to SEMA, and I'm not just an off-road truck guy. There's a cool Porsche in the Chicago Pneumatic Tools booth, all graphicked out with my sponsors. So the sponsors go, well, I could sponsor that guy. He's just trying to race. Or I sponsor that guy, and he's got our other tire brand. He's got, wheels. He's got exhaust. He's got, down the line, there's the batteries, all the oils, the components that cross-promote each other. So it's like, okay, on the weekend, he's out with the car guys. At work, he's doing the truck thing, and then he's at the races. So, yeah, he's more of a spokesperson now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more of that now, because there's years of experience and, the social reach, but it's all back to the technology, right? Like technology, like you have a website, you sell product on it. You have social media now, that drives people to your website to sell product. Magazines have kind of gone away, and it's funny because what's the biggest Jeep magazine? They don't have 461,000 subscribers.
Yeah, you're right.
Or 462. We turned 462 yesterday. So, but yeah, we have 462,000 people that follow the page. I put up a video, and it'll get anywhere from 15,000 views to 100 or 200,000 views. And if it goes viral, it's 1 million views. And the engagement. So when you start looking at impressions on our popular media, they're all the time hitting between 300,000 and 500,000 impressions per picture or video on a Jeep. Well, people are paying to advertise. I got companies wanting me to push their products. Well, back to the sponsorship. I'm providing them, like, not only am I just the truck guy or a racer, but I'm also a Jeep guy. I'm also a car guy.
Yeah, well, okay.
It helps the whole thing.
A lesson for my listeners right now. Go back, I don't know, about 3 or 4 minutes on this interview and piece together, map out what Jerry just said about the Instagram supporting the website, supporting the products, supporting the sponsors, the potential sponsors, getting the discount on the products, which you can turn around and use or sell or build another car to get more media. It's all intertwined. Like you said, there's a path there. And this is what just blows me away about you, Jerry, is because, oftentimes you do come off as, hey, you know what, I'm just cruising along. I've got it all figured out. But I know behind the scenes, because I've been to your office a few times, you're working your ass off on your social media. It takes a ton of discipline to do that. I have a meager following, which is probably more than 90% of the people out there that are on social media. But I also know how hard it is to have that meager following and how much better you are at it than I am, because you put the time in and you follow through on all those things that need to be done. So I'm just forever impressed by your abilities to tie all that together. And, again, when you're out at the shows, seeing you at the Porsche booth and the Jeep booth and then the off-road booths, because you've got it all figured out. It's pretty amazing how you juggle it all.
Definitely a lot of work. Don't take it too seriously is like the only advice I could really give. It's like I see a lot of businesses posting their social. They're just thinking about how to make it too rad. Don't worry about it. Just if you think it's cool, that's why people are following you.
Yeah.
Don't post what you think they think is cool. Post what you think is cool. Post what you think is funny. Post what you like. Don't be afraid to motivate. Don't be afraid to be political. Don't be afraid. I just shared an NRA thing the other day because, in California, our San Francisco government is so disconnected with the rest of the state. They're calling the NRA terrorists, right? Because that's what they need to waste their time on. Let's not waste their time on the drug problem or the homeless problem or the the people with issues problem. Let's just call the NRA a terrorist. So I shared